gave her a concussion to abort the baby. But after taking the concussion, Obioma died. Ifedi looked around to see if anyone was coming, and seeing no one, he ran home, leaving Obioma's dead body and the calabash in which he poured the concussion on the ground. A villager who walked past the place saw Obioma's lifeless body, ran to the palace. Once upon a time in Icheke village, everyone was gifted with a magical power, but the powers were meant for good and not of evil whatsoever. However, anyone who used the power to harm another was banished and taken into the evil forest as it was customary. The people of Icheke had a kind-hearted king who sought advice in every matter that required his attention from his council of chiefs, despite his position. And with the advice he got, he was able to rule his people in love for many years. The people of Icheke loved the king so well. The king had a son whose name was Ifedi. Ifedi was an opposite of his father. He had a maiden whose name was Nwamma, whom he was in a relationship with. Time passed and Ifedi got the maiden pregnant, and they both planned and aborted the pregnancy. Ifedi was not ready to be tied down with marital responsibilities at that time, and so they aborted the child. After the abortion was done, Ifedi abandoned the maiden and moved to another maiden. Nwamma got to know about this, and out of jealousy, she killed the maiden with her powers. The news got to the king, and he banished Nwamma as tradition demands. Ifedi moved to Obioma, got her pregnant, and gave her a concussion to abort the baby. But after taking the concussion, Obioma died. Ifedi looked around to see if anyone was coming, and seeing no one, he ran home, leaving Obioma's dead body and the calabash in which he poured the concussion on the ground. A villager who walked past the place saw Obioma's lifeless body, ran to the palace and told the king what he saw. The king instructed his guards to take the dead body into the evil forest while they wait and search for whoever that was involved in Obioma's death to be caught and sent into the evil forest too. When Ifedi heard of the king's declaration concerning Obioma's death, he devised a means to kill his father the king, so as to live amongst the people and continue to sleep with the maidens. Ifedi, with the help of those witches and wizards whom his father had banished and sent into the evil forest, killed his father the king. Few market days after the king had died, Ifedi called for a meeting with the council of chiefs, in which the way forward was discussed. The people insisted on waiting to hear from the gods before they would crown someone else the king. But desperate Ifedi wanted them to crown him immediately, since he was the one to succeed the throne, as the only son of the late king. He went about reminding the chiefs that a vacant throne is a threat to the people and something has to be done immediately. The prime minister told him that though he was right about his claims, but they still have to wait for the gods to approve it, otherwise they wouldn't be able to do anything. Desperate Ifedi went and reunited with the witches and wizards in the evil forest, formed ally with them so he could take over the throne. He promised to bring them back to their village if they helped him achieve his goals. He also promised to marry Nwamma the maiden who had aborted a child for him and was sent into the evil forest for killing another medium whom the prince had moved on with. The witches and wizards were happy with the promises of the prince, so they agreed to help him carry out his mission. They started the assignment by force killing the mouthpiece of the gods in their village. After they killed him, before the villagers could bat an eyelid, the prince went and brought the banished witches and their male counterparts back into their community. The people were not in support of his actions, but anyone who said anything contrary to his actions was killed immediately. The prime minister was made to crown him the king of Icheke village under duress. After Ifedi became the king, the evildoers he brought back into the village took over the land and started terrorizing the people. Fear gripped the people and no one dared disobey the instructions of the evil king. Ifedi and his cohorts passed a law that only allowed the villagers to fetch water from their stream 2 times in a week. And if for any reason whatsoever one was found fetching water from the stream other days, the person was killed. Ifedi and the evil Nwamma made the elders who were not in support of his reign fetch water in the palace every morning. The once harmonious village turned into a land of terror. One day, while Ifedi was taking a walk round the village, he ran into Oledo, the prime minister's only daughter. Oledo was a beauty to behold, and the king could not get his eyes off her, and so he raped her and killed her afterwards for refusing him at first, as no one refuses him and goes scot-free. When the news got to the villagers, those who had young daughters sent them out to the neighboring village, so they would be away from the wrath of their evil king. Nwamma, the king's evil bride, heard the news and out of anger she crippled the king with her charms. The king could not do anything while confined to a wheelchair, and so Nwamma took over the throne. Under her oppressive rule, the kingdom suffered more, as its people continued to live in fear and misery. She seized land from peasants and silenced any dissent with ruthless force. Her wickedness suppressed any voice of reason. As the escaped maidens dwelt in a nearby village, whispers of rebellion grew louder. The people yearned for freedom from the tyrant's grip, but they knew that challenging the authority of the evil Ifedi and Nwamma meant risking their lives. However, fate had its own plans for the king. One fateful night, as he was sleeping in his palace, the spirits of his father and those maidens he had raped and killed infiltrated the land and confronted the king in his room, demanding justice for the suffering he had inflicted upon the people with the evil people whom he had brought into the land. When he woke up, he tried to escape, but the tide had turned against him. In the chaos that ensued, the ghost eventually overpowered his forces. Cornered and desperate, Queen Nwamma attempted to flee, but her escape was thwarted, and that of the crippled Ifedi with no legs to run. They faced their reckoning at the hands of the very people they had oppressed for so long. In a fitting twist of fate, King Ifedi met his end after his confessions at the hands of those he had wronged. His reign of terror came to a tumultuous end. The maidens who had escaped from his wrath came back to their community. The village returned to that happy and peaceful place they used to know. And though his legacy was one of darkness, the people vowed to never forget the lesson learned from the tyranny of the evil Ifedi, ensuring that such a despot would not rise again.